Star Trek's top 5 shows on Rotten Tomatoes reveal a surprising truth about the iconic Sci-Fi franchise. The Star Trek franchise is known for several hallmarks, but its top 5 shows on Rotten Tomatoes reveal a surprising fact about the legendary space opera. The Star Trek timeline is far from linear when release dates are concerned, as various prequel and sequel shows continue to be greenlit. Viewers have come to expect certain things from Star Trek TV shows, but the franchise hasn't always abided by the same formula through the decades. Although some eras are more revered than others, Rotten Tomatoes' ranking proves a certain type of Star Trek show has proven more successful than others. Since the cast of Star Trek, the original series kickstarted Gene Roddenberry's Sci-Fi universe, the franchise has continued to go from strength to strength. That being said, there have been certain fallow periods in Star Trek's on-screen history. However, with Star Trek arguably in its second golden age, it's natural to reappraise the consistency of the property's overall output. One trend that is starting to emerge would take many seasoned Trekkies by surprise. 3 of Star Trek's top 5 shows on Rotten Tomatoes are animated. It wouldn't surprise many to learn that Star Trek: Strange New Worlds is currently sitting at the top of the TV branch of the franchise on Rotten Tomatoes. What's a little more shocking is that the 98% rated prequel to Star Trek, the original series, is just 1% ahead of the show in second place, Star Trek: Prodigy. 2 more animated shows fall in third and fourth place before the next live-action series gets a look in. That's right, Star Trek: Lower Decks and Star Trek, the animated series, are both ranked above Star Trek: The Next Generation. Star Trek doesn't particularly evoke imagery of animated settings and characters when it's brought up in general conversation. It has long been established as a live-action property, despite the presence of animated projects as early as the 1970s. That being said, the franchise has only recently started to pour more effort into animated TV shows. While it may go against what many perceive Star Trek to be, these more recent non-live action additions to franchise lore are clearly being well received. Star Trek has the same problem as any other long-running franchise. Viewers want to see familiar faces, but without new characters, the saga would risk falling into obscurity. While live-action spin-offs like Star Trek: Picard allowed Patrick Stewart to reprise the role of his iconic Starfleet officer, the show being made so long after Star Trek: The Next Generation resulted in a bit of a disconnect and change in tone. Animation doesn't have this restriction, and the medium can allow Star Trek to revisit beloved eras without worrying too much about real-world restrictions. As well as the practicalities of Star Trek's animated TV shows, they're also incredibly well made. Star Trek, the animated series, was a brilliant way to add to the show that started it all, just as Prodigy and Lower Decks also contribute new pieces of world-building to live-action shows like Star Trek: Voyager and Star Trek: The Next Generation. They also offer different kinds of moments that the other shows can't, like Lower Decks' parodical yet canonical moments that reference the franchise's rich history. Star Trek will likely always thrive on its live-action content, but the power of its animated shows is growing. The Star Trek franchise is one of the most enduring and influential science fiction series in television history. Since its inception in 1966 with the original series created by Gene Roddenberry, Star Trek has spawned numerous TV shows, films, and spin-offs, each building on a universe rich with exploration, philosophical questions, and optimistic visions of the future. The success and longevity of the franchise lie in its ability to evolve and adapt to different generations while maintaining its core ideals. However, a surprising truth emerges when looking at the top-rated Star Trek shows on Rotten Tomatoes. Newer iterations of the franchise are often more critically acclaimed than older, more iconic series. This speaks to a transformation not only in the show's storytelling, but also in how modern audiences consume and value science fiction. 1. Star Trek: Strange New Worlds 2022 present. With a stunning 99% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, Star Trek: Strange New Worlds tops the list, and it's no coincidence that the series has been hailed as a return to form. This prequel to the original Star Trek follows Captain Christopher Pike and his crew aboard the USS Enterprise as they explore new galaxies and face moral quandaries that feel reminiscent of Roddenberry's original vision. Critics have praised Strange New Worlds for embracing the episodic format of early Star Trek combined with modern production values and character-driven storytelling. In contrast to serialized storytelling that has dominated recent television, Strange New Worlds leans into standalone episodes, each exploring distinct ideas and themes. For many fans, it's a breath of fresh air that reminds them of why they fell in love with Star Trek in the first place, while attracting new viewers with its sharp visuals and modern sensibilities. The success of Strange New Worlds reveals that there is still room in contemporary television for optimistic, hopeful, and episodic science fiction. It also demonstrates that nostalgia, when balanced with innovation, can be a powerful tool in revitalizing a franchise. 2. Star Trek Lower Decks, 2020 present. In a surprising twist, the animated comedy series Star Trek Lower Decks holds an impressive 94% critic score, making it one of the highest-rated shows in the Star Trek universe. Unlike other entries in the franchise, Lower Decks focuses on the often overlooked lower deckers, the crew members who aren't on the bridge or leading the ship into battle. Lower Decks is a loving parody of Star Trek, poking fun at the tropes and traditions of the franchise while maintaining a deep respect for its lore. The humor is sharp and self-referential, making it a hit among longtime Star Trek fans who enjoy the in-jokes, while also serving as an accessible entry point for casual viewers. Its popularity underscores a truth about the Star Trek franchise: there is room for humor and levity in this expansive universe, even amidst its philosophical depth and drama. The show's success also highlights the growing appeal of adult animation in the modern TV landscape. By blending irreverent comedy with the established canon of Star Trek, Lower Decks provides a fresh perspective on what a Star Trek show can be. 3. Star Trek The Next Generation, 1987 to 1994. Although it wasn't the highest-rated Star Trek, The Next Generation still holds an impressive 91% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, securing its place as one of the best-loved shows in the franchise. Often regarded as the series that truly brought Star Trek into the mainstream, The Next Generation followed Captain Jean-Luc Picard and his crew aboard the USS Enterprise D as they navigated new challenges and moral dilemmas in the 24th century. What made The Next Generation so influential was its ability to balance complex characters with high-concept science fiction. Episodes like The Measure of a Man and The Inner Light have been hailed as some of the best in TV history for their exploration of artificial intelligence, the human condition, and ethical questions that still resonate today. The continued critical acclaim of The Next Generation reflects its lasting impact on the genre, as well as its role in setting the template for future Star Trek series. It also showcases how a show with strong character development and thematic depth can endure in the collective memory of viewers, even decades after its original run. 4. Star Trek Discovery, 2017 present. Star Trek Discovery comes in with an 86% critic score, marking its place as one of the most ambitious and controversial entries in the franchise. Set roughly a decade before the events of the original Star Trek, Discovery took bold risks with its serialized format, darker tone, and significant character arcs. While some traditionalists were initially put off by the show's deviation from the episodic nature of earlier Star Trek series, others appreciated its willingness to push boundaries and explore new storytelling methods. The visual effects, diverse cast, and focus on modern sociopolitical themes made Discovery a bold evolution for the franchise. Its critical success suggests that Star Trek has the flexibility to adapt to contemporary,